With the NBA 2024 playoffs in full swing and the Golden State Warriors finding themselves home yet again for the third time in 5 seasons, for reasons varying from the upper management to the players in the locker room. But take heed, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Want to find out the reasons and what they can do to get it back on track? Find out next on Hardwoods. Welcome back, you guys, to the inaugural edition of Hardwood Smack. I am your host, Mr. CeeLo. And per request of a lot of individuals that I associate with, this is the first edition of Hardwood Smack, as you well know. And many people have been awaiting my opinion or my thoughts on the Warriors going down for the third time. And I've been sharing it with people and just not publicly yet until now.
Bruh. Who cares?
It's really dull watching the NBA playoffs without the Warriors being involved. I know a lot of people are kind of like, well,
is that your best?
I guess it's safe to say we need to start with, how did we get here?
Why don't you explain it to me?
A team that was, once again, everybody was just wondering where was it going to end, from the Jordan Poole becoming the unofficial third Splash Brother to James Wiseman becoming the next piece that was going to be great for the Warriors. And now we're here.
You don't get it, do you?
Where you're hearing all the analysts saying,
Say it!
8 times over, boy.
yeah. I know it's a week behind, guys, but I wanted everybody else to get their takes in, their opinions in before I put mine out there. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Warriors are where they are. And I'm going to give you a couple of ways that the Warriors can fix this situation. Let's start with management. Bob Myers stepped down a season ago, and he was as quoted on not TNT, but NBA Today, saying that the reason why he left is so he didn't have to make tough decisions such as the impending free agency of one Klay Thompson, and also the deal made with Draymond Green over the summer. And this was ill.
Put up your edge, you dumb motherfucker! Say it!
And I would tell Draymond Green this to his face. No. You're not playing in that high of a level to command that. And I'll get to that later. But the management whom drafted guys like James Wiseman, as well as Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and also picked up guys in free agency. They've done such a great job surrounding Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the past, and even pulling off the Andrew Wiggins deal so many moons ago. It doesn't seem like it was that many moons ago, but it has been. And the reality is this: you make positive impact moves, and as of now, it seems like that the management has not done a good enough job based on what we're seeing with the salary cap. Now, I understand that you've got max players from Klay Thompson to Steph Curry, but there are times when you've made the incorrect decisions, such as the move for Chris Paul and Jordan Poole. To me, that was just a no. That's not something you do. And I understand that so many times that you have to look in the face of a certain guy and say, hey, look, we have to have you leave, or we have to get the most out of you. The one other element that I thought management never took really exercised its muscles on was Draymond Green. You have to tell this guy right now, I don't care what you do on the court. Your off the court antics is what's the problem. And I'm sure that the only place that his antics would have been tolerated were in a Golden State Warrior organization. Nowhere else was anybody going to take his annex. That was where I thought management made the mistake. And we can also look back at the Wiseman trade, where, in my opinion, the Warriors jumped the gun on this because of what Steve Kerr said, which leads me to my next point. Steve Kerr is number 4 to blame. Because ultimately, when you get talent, and see, we still have not seen the maximum potential of Jonathan Kuminga. And it seems like every time the Warriors either sit Steph or Steph gets hurt is when we get to see the emergence of this beastly type player. And I remember hearing Michael Wilbon and Adrian Wojnarowski saying that this guy's not the second player on this team. I beg to differ. I don't think Steve Kerr understands how to utilize him. Much like the whole deal when it came to James Wiseman. You have not even figured out a role for Moses Moody. Brandon Baczynski as a rookie, you already figured out what to do with him. But my question is, Steve Kerr, do you really know what you have on that bench?
You fucking idiot.
And I remember when they traded Wiseman, you said basically in a nutshell what the deal was. His injuries derailed his development.
What the?
Last I checked, the guy had a season and a half to go. And you just gave up on him because we're in a run for a championship. Not to mention, I get it. You were having trouble carving out a role for him because you had Jordan Poole. The fact is, you did not work hard enough in your summers trying to get this worked out. And it goes back to what I'm not sure. I think it was Speak. I heard one of the guys, I think it may have been Joy Taylor that said this, that you didn't work towards the youth movement. You cannot. And this is where you, as Steve Kerr, has to work with management and say, okay, we're not in a position to take talented young players. And so many of these guys kept saying when on that draft night with Kuminga and Moody, as well as James Wiseman's, you can plug him into a championship player and with a championship caliber team and with that Golden State DNA and that culture. No, that's a wrong statement, because the reality of it was, guys, I'm going to say it like this. The biggest issue I had with Steve Kerr was James Wiseman. A lot of people are going to get in the comments and say he's a bum, he's this, he's that. No, that's not true. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys some things, because this was a guy that had several.
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I want the truth.
20-point pieces. And he even had 21 points in that finale against the Spurs. He was 8 of 17, had 17 rebounds, which is huge, guys, because here's the thing. Golden State has not had a consistent rebounder and shot blocker. James Wiseman's confidence has been destroyed by you, Steve Kerr. You can sit here and say it's not your fault or this, that, and the other. We're trying to win a championship. But here's where greatness lies. You are on the San Antonio Spurs team when Tim Duncan had to start deferring to Kawhi Leonard, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. His youth wasn't completely used up. He had become a supplement to Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. But they were still able to be highly competitive, not missing the playoffs. That's what makes teams great. You had, and I would argue Kuminga is not the centerpiece of all this, but James Wiseman was. The kid could shoot the basketball. There were too many games that just absolutely made no sense to me. No sense to me as to how this kid is not in the rotation. You're saying, oh, he missed assignments. Steve, the defense has gotten progressively worse, and worse.
Dumb shit.
It's gotten worse. And then at least if you got a 6'11" guy in the paint that can block some shots, not some guy like Draymond Green who wants to cry all the time when he gets popped. Kevon Looney still doesn't move with the same precision as James Wiseman. Listen, I have lots of love for Kevon Looney, but James Wiseman is a baby. You had no patience with this guy. Player development is important. Jonathan Kuminga is coming along. You gave Kuminga more of an opportunity than you did Wiseman. You kept saying, oh, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. Oh, he wasn't ready.
You can't handle the truth.
This is a guy that is just as valuable as one Jonathan Kuminga. And Moses Moody, we still don't know what this guy can do because you still haven't carved out a piece for him. Still have not carved out a role for him. You have to get your head out of the clouds. You can say all the right things, but I am ultimately sticking the youth development on your back because you are not figuring out how to carve a role for guys like Moses Moody. And you figured out what to do with Jackson Davis. But here's the other thing. You didn't do anything with Wiseman. But we'll come back to that. Wiseman is a talent that the Warriors should get back.
Damn, I'm good.
Bruh.
What the
Which leads me to my next point. The Warriors have no shot blocker in the paint. Trace Jackson Davis is pretty good shot blocker, but he's not on the level that James Wiseman would be. Draymond Green gets a couple of blocks a game, but most of the time they're just referees being generous, not calling it. You get an occasional block from Saric or Looney. But the reality of it is, you guys, we don't have a shot blocker. And guys, we hadn't had a real dangerous shot blocker since we lost Wiseman and we lost Kevin Durant. And we'll get to that later on. But we don't have anybody that scares you in the paint. And I know what people are going to say.
Dumb shit! Dumb shit!
Well, most teams are beating us because they're out shooting us. Surprisingly enough, the Kings outshot us in that finale. But the other thing is that teams kill us on the boards. Guys like Sabonis cleaning up rebounds. But that brings us to I love the name that Stephen A gave a certain player, Andrew Comatose Wiggins. Now, he arguably should have been the number one reason why the Warriors are where they are. And I'm going to get to that. When the Golden State Warriors won their last NBA championship, this guy was arguably the reason. Because Draymond Comatose Green was bumping his gum so much, he had one good game in the entire finals. He ran his mouth so much, like he always does not know how to shut up, but I'll get to that. He finished the NBA Finals as the leading rebounder, blocker, and the second highest scorer for the Warriors after averaging 18 points, almost 9 rebounds, and a block and a half per game. And he was just absolutely in Jason Tatum all series. All over him. In my opinion, he still has not recovered from it. And that being Jason Tatum. But let's talk about something. I've told so many people that the Warriors were the favorites to win the NBA title several times over because of Andrew Wiggins. Because when this guy was locked in that Boston series, the Warriors are allowed to play that small ball because of him. Not Draymond. When Wiggins is at his best, this team is unbeatable. And people are going to say, oh, that's all stretch. No, they really are. Because Wiggins is like that guy on the playground. When Steph, Clay missed shots, or even Jordan Poole at the time were missing shots, this guy was coming in there stealing rebounds on the offensive glass and just doing his thing. Not to mention on the defensive glass, this guy would get the ball, take this thing coast to coast, and finish with authority. The 22-23 playoffs were arguably, 21-22 playoffs and NBA Finals were the crowning achievement of this guy's career. Because we thought in everywhere that Wiggins had arrived.
What a dumbass!
How wrong we were. And I get it. People are going to say, well, he had issues. And Stephen A said it best. Last I checked, you get paid to play basketball. I will direct any of you that want to say what issues a person has to do with playing basketball. I would direct you to a guy by the name of Vlade Divac. There was a time in the playoffs that this gentleman, now he wasn't playing great, but he was a guy that did his job. Great passer, great rebounder, and an efficient scorer. But this guy's family was at war. And every day he was calling home to make sure his family was safe. Every day he was calling home to make sure his family was okay. And this guy had 2 hours apiece, and that was on the basketball court, where he could just let everything go and just play the game and be a kid again. I saw an Andrew Wiggins in the playoffs that year that was playing like his life depended on it. And it really did, because it was a contract year. Pathetic, Andrew. Pathetic. And the reality of it is, the Warriors team as constructed is not a problem. However, when you get a guy that is a career 17-point scorer, and he comes in this season, and all he can muster, I want you guys to listen to this, is a grand total of 13.2 points a game on 27 minutes, shooting 45% and 35 from 3, 4.5 rebounds.
Is that your best?
I'll tell you something.
That was pathetic.
Anybody. And this guy ain't even old. He just turned 29 in February. I'm gonna tell you something. I was a big fan of this guy getting a deal when they won the championship. When they won the championship, I was a huge fan of him re-signing.
What a dumbass!
Now I think it's time to part ways. Because here's the reality. You can't have another max player on him making all that money that can't put the ball in the bucket, because we already got one of those. And he overinflates what his value is. And that would lead me to the last gentleman, Draymond Green. Now we can sit here and we can talk about how valuable Draymond Green is to this organization. Or we can turn around and we can say what kind of a cancer he is. Because reality is, you could argue that the Warriors should still be winning championships. And we know for sure, certain they cost them one. But in hindsight, if they don't lose that NBA title where he gets suspended, does Kevin Durant come? So it's kind of one of those situations, is how you got him is how you lose him. And that's how we lost Kevin Durant, because of Draymond Green and his crazy, ignorant antics. Now, having said that, let's also look at this season. Let's look at his suspension, which arguably, as Stephen A. Smith alluded to, they could have gone 10-10 and they would not even be in the play-in. Now, I question whether or not they would have been capable of playing in this style of playoffs. I don't know if they're ready for the West, not without comatose Wiggins. Doesn't matter how well Draymond Green plays. Doesn't matter how well, because Steve Kerr has not carved out a legit role for Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. The fact is, Kuminga is the guy on some nights. You could see in that game against Sacramento, the ball was in Clay and Steph's hands. You didn't see a lot of Kuminga. And that's the problem. You're saying, I just want to trust my vets with the basketball. Let's look at the fact that Draymond Green still makes mistakes with the basketball that just scratch the head. And I get it, Steph makes mistakes with the basketball. But the one thing Steph can do is make up for his. Yes, I will give you, you're shooting at the highest level from the three-point line that you shot in your entire career at 39.5%. But in 49, you're shooting 49 from the field, but a grand total of 8.6 points? Bro, 8.6 points.
Is that your best? That was pathetic.
Not good enough for a guy making $25 million. I'm sorry. It ain't. It ain't. And here's the thing. You fit in this system, Draymond. If Klay Thompson and Steph Curry were not on this team, wouldn't work. And then, do I need to mention Jordan Poole? I don't care what caused you to punch your teammate out. It's just like me and several other guys that are friends of the show say. I don't care what Jordan Poole did. You don't punch out your teammate, especially one that's possibly going to be the future of the franchise. See, you could have used a Jordan Poole this year. Easily. I love Brandon Paczynski, but here's the thing. He ain't Jordan Poole. He ain't Jordan Poole. Now get it. People are going to say, oh, well, he ain't doing so good in Washington because he's asked to be the guy. And not to mention, who's to say he's psychologically checked out himself? You sit there and say, oh, hold players accountable. Hold yourself accountable. You sit here and talk about, I yell at my teammates to get their attention. How about yelling at your damn self and get your attention? Because you're still doing dumb stuff. Nobody checks you. You have no right to check anybody on the court. That's not leadership. You know what real leadership is? Learning how to control yourself. Shut your filthy mouth and admit when you're wrong. Go to your teammates. Tell them in front of the public that you jacked up. That you made a mistake. I don't see you getting in public and saying, yeah, I messed up. You can sit there and be like, yeah, I messed up. No, you don't be doing that when you yelling in front of folks, whether it's Kevin Durant, Jordan Poole. You like to get loud in front of them to make everybody look like you the alpha male in the room. I ain't going to say what I want to say, but I hope you watch this and you see that you ain't nothing but a bully. Now, I don't know what you're trying to prove, but hurting your team and the franchise, that's where I hold the management accountable. I hold Steve Kerr accountable. You ain't that damn important. Now, with that being said, I'm going to get to a few ways that we can fix this. First thing is Andrew Comatose Wiggins. I give him 2 months at the beginning of next year. If he can't get it together and get out of this comatose state, he's got to go. And that probably means giving up one of your top pieces. Paczynski's probably going to be the guy to go because you could probably get Jordan Poole and James Wiseman back. And a lot of people are going to say, why would you want to go back there? Why would you want to revisit that? Because here's the thing. You could possibly still save Jordan Poole. And the reality is there's only one place that Poole's going to feel comfortable at, and that's here because this is where he got to start. He's probably homesick in Washington, knowing that people are still teasing him and picking at him about being he's really washed himself out of Washington. I've watched they don't even defer the ball to him now. Wiseman, the same thing in Detroit. Now he played in the finale because they had to fill roster spots. But here's the thing. Here's what you have to understand. Steve Kerr, you got to damn move towards the youth movement. Steph Curry is 35. What are we doing here? And I'm going to be straight up honest. If the Golden State Warriors cannot move towards a youth movement, this is a wash. This is going to be a wash because you got to pay Kuminga soon. And Moody's going to want out. This boy can ball. I don't know how many of you are Warrior fans, but I'm going to say it like this. This would be a fix. If you can get Draymond Green to shut his face and play ball, do more balling than he does talking. He's already trying to do his post-career before his career is over with. He's already trying to do that. And here's the other thing. You could possibly get Kevin Durant back. Because outside of game 2, which I was watching a little bit of tonight, you guys, Devin Booker and Bradley Beal don't play good with Kevin Durant. And it ain't just Bradley Beal. Devin Booker don't. Devin Booker can't coexist with another superstar. Because he wants to shoot. On a bad night, he wants to shoot. That's what the problem was when you had Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum on the same team. They don't know how to stop shooting when they off. You can sit here and tell me great shooters keep shooting, but when you have another superstar, you figure out ways to get him the ball if your shot ain't falling. We can sit here and talk about Jamal Murray dropping that shot last night. He shot an abysmal 9 for 24 last night. And Joker shot 9 of 16. Why am I not getting the ball to Joker? You shooting like garbage. Oh, because you hit a game winner? That's not the point. The point I'm making, you guys, is the Warriors can make a drastic move if they understand one thing. You get Draymond Green under control. The Warriors can get some things done if they understand a couple of things. Get this loudmouth, no putting the ball in the hole, overvaluing guy to hush his mouth. Either get something for Andrew Wiggins or get him out of this comatose state and play back to the NBA Finals level that he was at, or make a move for Wiseman, Poole, or Kevin Durant. And the last thing, and probably the most important thing, make your youth movement. There's nothing wrong with youth if you know how to utilize it. That's going to do it for our first edition of Hardwood Smack. Tune in for the next episode, you guys. And if you have comments, let us know. I'm sure you Warrior fans are going to have some things to say. I am a Warriors fan, but I'm just going to say it like this. In order for the Warriors to get back, they've got to go where they've not gone before, and they need to revisit some things that they didn't visit in the first go around. But check me out at the bottom, guys. Hit your comments down there. Let me know what you think, and I will share your comments on the air. But thank you so much for watching the first edition of Hardwood Smack. Until the next time, guys, keep smacking on those hardwoods, guys.